Ukraine as a nation-state appeared on the world map on August 24, 1991. 23 years later, we again have to make a tough choice. How should we live? The Crimea has already been seized from Ukraine. Military confrontation is going on in the Donbass. We are required to federalize by Russians, communists, regionals. The government of Ukraine proposes decentralize. Do we have a choice or not? Where should we go? Where you're pushed to? Some dream to go to the left. Well, let's find out what federalization is. This is the process of formation of a federal state. How does this happen? Typically, several states, each of which already has its own government, parliament, constitution, and sovereignty, are united in an alliance, a federal state. And sometimes, federalization is held by an occupier that bedevils the country to prevent the restoration of a strong opponent. Regardless of the method of its formation, each participating state becomes a subject of the federation, gives a significant part of its sovereignty to the newly formed federal state, but reserves great powers, the right to have own constitution, legislation, government, but in the framework of the constitution of the federal state. Every citizen in a federal state has two constitutions, maintains two parliaments and two governments, must adhere to different laws when crossing several internal borders within the same state. There are more than 200 countries in the world, but only 24 of them are federal. Why is it so? First, most states were created as a result of self-determination of nations. Thus, they are the national unitary states. Second, the federal states were created as a union of either former colonies or fragmented principalities of kingdoms. Third, a significant part of federations consists of national subjects of the federation. Fourth, there has been no historical case of voluntary separation of a single country into the subjects of the federation. In addition, the governance system of the federation is very complex and costly. Federation as a state is unstable and tends either to centralize or to decay. Everyone remembers the divorce of Czechoslovakia and the cruel, bloody disintegration of Yugoslavia, the rejection of certain areas from Ethiopia. And even if the federal states do not break into separate territories, they still have a constant internal tension, right up to the transition to armed conflicts, as for example in Nigeria, Mexico, India, Russia, and Ethiopia. Even prosperous Belgium has an internal tension between the constituent entities of the federation. Do we, the citizens of Ukraine, really need this scenario? Why do we have to feed two governments, two parliaments? We cannot handle even one. Why do we need even greater economic and political instability? Why do we need the extra mobility problems in the country? Who needs it then? In the first place, the regional elite, who would give eye teeth for even poor but own principality, where new feudal lords keep living local communities without power and resources. And of course, an external enemy, who wants to run our country through those warlords. And most importantly, federalization is imposed upon us from the outside, especially by those who themselves cannot build a democratic and effective governance. So there you have it, the path to the left. And what if we take to the right? What will happen? Decentralization is when two really capable levels of government, national and local ones, are established in a single country. The government of the country deals only with global issues on a national scale, while all the most important problems of each of us are solved at the closest to us local level. In the community of a village, town, city, or district of a large city, which receive all the necessary resources, authority, and responsibility. Thus, the quality of life in the community becomes dependent on the community residents themselves. More complex problems are solved at the rayon and regional levels. These are the subsidiary levels of governance that have their own autonomous bodies, but they do not manage local communities. They also have their own exclusive powers, resources, and responsibilities to the voters and the state. This is the case in prosperous Denmark, Sweden, and now in Poland. Generally, almost all of Europe has worked its way up through decentralization, and most importantly, everything was happening peacefully and voluntarily, according to the internal needs of the state and the people. So maybe we should also do this? Especially since the first step has already been taken. On April 1st, 2014, the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine approved the concept of the reform of local self-government and territorial organization of power in Ukraine. It is time to make big changes.